Scions of the Southland. This was number 307. It was just Jake and Akshay last week while I was out in Texas. Ken, I got to tell you, I caught the word. You know that the cold front that came in last week that
Oh,
got
yes, yes.
so in Austin, Texas. It was on Sunday. It was 95 degrees at 4 o'clock. A brisk Austin night. By six, no, no, by about 9:30 at night, the temperature had gone down 30 degrees.
30?
30.
Whoa.
By the next morning, it was in the mid 40s, and it was the largest 24-hour temperature change on record in Austin history.
Wow.
And I have spent 12 total days there in the last 3 years, and I managed to catch that day. I feel incredibly lucky.
Wow. You're
And
there for history.
I was there for the weather history we don't want. Uh,
Meteorological history. Yeah.
Something like that. Well, if you don't recognize his voice, of course, it's Ken Sugiura, our leading our clubhouse leader in saves on from the Scions of the Southland when we need a guy in a pitch.
I need
Uh,
entrance music.
you're not wrong. Okay,
Hell's
everyone,
bells, right?
Hell's Bell is something. Everyone go find this. Go find this. This came out today. The Seattle Mariners did a their commercial for the season was how the starting pitchers don't get walk-in music, but their relievers got walk-in music. And the scene was everyone in a cafeteria, and their closer just walks into the cafeteria, lights go out, TVs turn into flames, and it's just for him to just go get his plate of dinner. And then it's
Oh.
Louis Castillo being like, "What the hell, man? Why don't we get walk-up music in the first inning?" Anyways, Ken from the AJC is here because he was at the press conference introducing Georgia Tech's 16th full-time head coach, Scott Cross. Uh, it was a big day for the school. I mean, also Ryan Alpert's first big time hire he's had to
Right.
do. So, I mean, just walk me through what the day was like at this press conference because this seemed to be a much more publicized, hey, come to this event kind of press conference compared to other ones I know we've had
Yeah.
in the past.
I guess it was. Yeah, I know it seemed like the number of people that were there was bigger than normal. It was
Hmm.
like, I don't know, it's always recency bias or whatever, but
Yeah.
Brent Key was there, James Ramsey, Danny Hall, a number of former players. I saw Quentin Stevens. Uh, a lot of staff,
Hmm.
and I think that a lot of donors and boosters.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was. It seemed like there was a. I mean, it's always an exciting day, but it seemed like that there was a lot of people there for it.
Yeah.
And should I go forward, or you want to ask another question, or
Go forward. Go forward.
yeah,
What
okay.
else did you notice about what was going on and just the energy of that room?
Um, well, yeah, I mean, so it started like normal. Uh, President Cabrera spoke, and he introduced Ryan Alpert, who introduced Scott Cross. Um, a lot of nice things were said, and Scott Cross laid out his vision. Um, yeah, it seemed like it was received. It seemed like, I mean, I don't know, like I said, like it rarely goes poorly, but it seemed like it went
Yeah.
really well. I think people responded to what he was saying, Scott Cross, and also Ryan Albert for that matter.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you hear a lot of generalities and things like that, and I think he was more specific about a number of different things, so that was good.
Yeah. That was the
Um,
thing I caught too, was when I was listening to it. I was like, okay, these aren't, it didn't feel like your more traditional, like even for pro sports, like how vague and like just like, oh,
right,
we're gonna be a hard nosed attacking team. It's like,
platitudes, yeah,
no, we're
yeah,
gonna play man on man defense until it
right,
doesn't work. We're going to develop players 30 minutes a day
right,
to
right,
make sure they're working on things, which we'll cover that later on because I know that's going to be a there. That's a different differentiation point probably from the Stoudemire era to what this possibly could be. I mean, Ryan even said how many people they interviewed, which was good. It sounds like he's going to never leave Waffle House either, based on what I could tell. Which
yeah,
I don't mind it. I mean, that Waffle House never closes, so if he's going to frequent the
right,
Tech Square Waffle House, I think that'll go a
yeah,
long way.
yeah. I was wondering. I was sitting next to Kelly Quinlan, and we were kind of joking about how tech fans who've been here long enough have
They
like
know.
get triggered by hearing about a coach espousing his love for Waffle House. But it seemed genuine, and everyone, regardless of what happened 4 or 5 years ago at Bobby Dodd Stadium, I think also loves Waffle House. So maybe hopefully he can be forgiven for that. Well, I mean, I did forgive because he didn't do anything wrong,
Yeah,
but yeah, that it's a genuine connection I think that he has
yeah.
with the Waffle House. So
I don't know how much. I mean, I know you've been watching some college basketball lately. How did you take in any Troy basketball before any of this at all, or was it was today kind of you're more just like, all right, this is the first time I'm really getting to know who this guy is, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like I read something last week about, I heard, from other coaches in the industry saying like, yeah, I think it's his job. I read something. I wish I'd written it earlier saying that my prediction is Scott Cross will be hired. And so in writing about that and like, in my original who were potential candidates, I wrote about, I've studied a little bit, not enough. I knew the broad outlines that he's
Yeah,
a certified program builder. He's won bigger at Texas Arlington and Troy than those schools had at all previously. And
yeah.
but then I dug around a little bit before we jumped on, to look at the Ken Palm numbers, and some interesting things popped up there. But yeah, but to answer your question, no, I didn't know a ton, and I didn't watch the Nebraska Troy game either, for that matter.
Well, that game seemed to, if anything, that probably helped Tech out a lot because that meant he could
Yeah,
come here
yeah,
sooner. If Troy had made a run,
right,
that's does he become our head coach? Because this time is very valuable. When it's basically it's a 365-day sport now versus
right,
what it had been in the past. Back
yeah,
when Kremens and other folks were coached, where you could basically take the summer off and
right,
and,
yeah,
and then hop into your season. Um,
yeah. And I wonder too, like if let's say they get to the Sweet 16. Do more people, do other schools with openings, or like start to take a look at this guy and say
right,
now he's a
right,
little more, he's not just a guy at Troy, but he's a guy at Troy who got his team to the Sweet 16. It's kind of like,
yeah,
what was that, Florida Gulf Coast and Dunk City, that run,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure propelled him much farther than if he lost in the first round.
Right.
So,
No, that makes a lot of
yeah,
sense. Yeah, no, that's good. Good point to note. Well, I mean, you bet. I know you covered tech in many iterations in the past. From what just your just general knowledge of this team, what what would set up what would set up Scott to do well here? I mean, obviously, investment's one thing that Ryan has
right.
addressed. He's going to take care of, but what, at least in life, according to Ken, what does it take for a guy to be successful as at Tech basketball?
Um, you know, it sort of feels like so, and I don't know, I don't know if it's sounding Pollyannish or whatever, but it's sort of someone like Scott Cross, someone who has proven that he can build a team from the ground up. And I was
Mhm.
thinking about this, like Damon Stoudemire was kind of an interesting hire because of his NBA past,
Right.
and like he'd had, I think, 4 years at Pacific, but so he
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
something to look at, but not
Right.
like what Scott Cross had. Josh Pastner had won at Memphis. It kind of tailed off a little bit from when he first took over, but he took
Hmm.
over a team that was at its peak. John Calipari left it to go to Kentucky. It's not like it was
Yeah.
in bad shape.
Right.
Brian Gregory, I should have looked at this more. I don't know that he, like, Dayton's always been a pretty successful program at that level. And so, I don't think he did anything quite on the order of what Cross did at Texas Arlington and at Troy, building something from nothing.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. Gregory did three, and I let's see here. He went to two NCAA tournaments in '04 and '09 and two NITs, and they
right,
got to the top 14 at one point in the
right. But I'm guessing he
2007
took
eight
over a
season.
program that I memory serves. I could be wrong. Oliver Purnell probably left to go somewhere, Clemson maybe, and so he was taking over a program that was, doing well. Whereas, and he came to Tech to take over a program that had kind of cratered.
Right. No, yeah, Dayton the day that Oliver left at Dayton, they went 24-6, made the
Right.
NCAA tournament, went 14-2 in the Atlantic 10. But they had four straight 20 plus win seasons in 5 and 6
Yeah.
years. So yeah, no, they Dayton was on a very much on a good course by the time
Right.
that
Right.
Brian
So
gets there.
so he is very different in that regard, that you can look at him and say he's done this twice. And I think I wrote about this in a column that Tech always talks about, we want to punch above our weight class. And I think you would think that's something he can do.
Right.
Maybe that's getting Tech just to the middle of the ACC. And at that point, at this point, I think Tech fans, a lot of Tech fans, are like, I'll take it for now.
I mean, yeah, that is
You know,
progress. I mean,
we go
it's
nine
yeah,
and nine in the league and maybe get to close to 20 wins
yeah,
and take our chances in the tournament. I think a lot of fans, and if you can do that fairly consistently, that's kind of the big next step. And no one has
yeah,
been able to take that since maybe the middle of Paul Hewitt's tenure. So,
right. Yeah.
so yeah, so I think, yeah, like the ability just to get guys better, to have a system that's proven, to to win games, from the bench.
Yeah.
It seems like he has the numbers would suggest that he has those qualities in him.
Yeah.
So you know, that's what I would think he could be a good fit for Tech.
Yeah, I mean, just to bring up some of his coaching record, at the moment he's 350 and to 260, so he's got a 57% win percentage. He had a 55% win percentage at Troy specifically. Came in, only won 9 games, then 11 his next season, and then at least 20 in 5 straight years dating back. So basically, ever since post COVID, he's won 20 games every year, which
Right.
is kind of a natural reset point for the sport because 2020 doesn't exist in real life. Um, so but you're right. Like there's got to be some sort of real demonstrated path to like finding your way. Just making the ACC tournament. Sadly, is kind of a goal for next year. Like it very quickly became clear as like, oh,
15th
this
or
team,
bust.
50, it's just 15th, which is not.
Yeah.
Is that competitive? No, that will maybe get you
Right.
into whatever made up tournament exists that year. That's not
Right.
the NIT and the NCAA tournament, but it's it's progress, and I think that's kind of all this team needs. And this is where I want to get into talk about how he develops kids. I think one of the most damning things about Damon's run, I've mentioned on here so some folks that listen will know this, that there was no clear progress made with the players we had. I was telling someone today this like Bidadongo, first year Bidadongo is a lot of the percentage of the current day Bidadongo, sadly. Like there
Hmm.
was no clear like, okay, this guy has gone from okay, you can tell he's a freshman phenom, gets all ACC freshman, like is up there in all ACC. If he's going to progress well, he should be getting into much higher conversations, and it never happened.
Right.
Um, yes,
Yeah,
there
that's
was.
funny. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like there was talk even his freshman year, like this guy could jump to the NBA. Am I wrong about that? Like when he was freshman?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
exactly. No, that was
Yeah.
conversation we were having. It's like, is he going to look? I think he did
Yeah.
look,
Uh-huh.
and so it's like, hey, see what your stock is. But yeah, it got to the point where it's like, hey, if it goes too well, he's gonna he's gonna jump
Right.
ship. But good for him, like he should if he can.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's where we were at. It's like, okay, is this guy going to be a second rounder, maybe a late first rounder with how where he started? And right now, I don't think he would get drafted at all based on what's going on.
Yeah. You wouldn't think. Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, but before he was saying, Scott Cross was saying how, part of his practice regimen, I guess, is 30 minutes every day. It's individual skill work, getting better at shooting, passing, dribbling,
yeah,
footwork, all those things. And like, I mean, it's one of those things I wonder how many coaches do that, but maybe just don't say it and kind of build their brand or whatever. But
right,
also at the same time, like the numbers would indicate to you that yeah, he's
yeah,
doing something right and getting guys better and helping them
yeah.
win basketball
And
games.
Tech's not a good enough team to just have guys walk in off of pure talent and win games that way.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it is going to take demonstrated progress within a season of the guys that you have getting actually better at their craft versus just getting the best talent and then saying, "All right, have fun, go get it." Like
Right.
that's
And like too,
not
you said about it. Yeah, go ahead.
good. I mean, that's we're not in that position as a team, at least right now. That'd
Yeah.
be great one day, but not right now.
Yeah. And I think too, he said about that was uh made you think like, oh, this. I mean, I get why he's won. Is like it wasn't just that they're doing this 30 minutes a day, but each player has an individualized development plan, and so it's
Yeah,
not just
yeah,
everybody put up 20 shots from the elbow and however many from around the arc. It's
right.
player X is going to work on this, and player Y is going to work on that, and
Yeah,
strength and weaknesses and develop strengths. And so yeah,
and it'll
yeah,
be curious if
it
yeah
sounded good.
of the guys that end up staying, which I'm sure there'll be a couple that just. I mean, if you're at Georgia Tech, I mean, you should get your degree here. That's my thought. But um, nonetheless, I'll be curious. Like, okay, what do those guys look like come like just like late December of this season?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
is there something that's like, oh my god, we didn't know this guy had it, and it's just
Uh-huh.
because unfortunately Damon's staff just didn't extract as much of the value, as much of the talent as these guys possibly had. And thing is, Damon was certainly a good talent identifier. Like that
Hmm.
wasn't like that was ever a problem. I mean, the delta between the talent we got and the performance we had this year was staggering, absolutely staggering. Especially when you have a 5-star center and doesn't it just doesn't make an impact. Like that's a very unfortunate kind of thing. Um, he did say he recruited Atlanta before. That seems very important. That seems like the basis for basically all of our teams now is like, all right, just recruit the city first. get the
Hmm.
talent out of here because there's no reason we should be losing that many people. You're going to lose some people because we're not all the schools kind of thing, but that was helpful. Um, this was also a thing that really stuck out to me was that they want to live as close to campus as possible and want to host players at their house whenever they can. That stuck out to me
Yeah.
because that's like a okay, you actually care. Like, it sounds bad to say like, oh, you actually care about the kids, but like
Hmm.
that's a love like that is still a level of investment not every coach is gonna do. Like that is
Yeah.
a we've got you beyond just the classroom and the court kind of thing, which
Right.
that can go a long way. That is a belief in your coach kind of thing that if play those cards right kind of thing like that. Hopefully that turns into something more and is
Yeah.
part of that development cycle that he's got.
Yeah. I guess that isn't too uncommon, but still, but it sounded like it was, it's not just that he wants to be close, but they make a point of having players over, and he was
Yeah.
saying something about going out to lunch a lot of times, just one-on-one with kids. And so, yeah, you get that part of it is sincere, which I
Yeah.
mean, I think every coach probably spouts it, but yeah, from listening to him, and then like one
It,
of his former players was here, which I think said something,
yeah,
or
that's
was
true
at
too. Yeah.
the press conference. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he seems like a good guy. I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I will say the real estate is quite expensive around tech at the moment, so hopefully they
Well,
hopefully they
I
find
feel like he
something
can
good.
afford it, but
Uh,
yeah.
hopefully they find something good. Just don't go to Buckhead. Please God, don't live in Buckhead. That's my piece of advice there. Um, Look at if you got anything else that comes to mind or any I assume there hey there's a role open at the AJC I heard for the tech beat writer. I don't know if you're
There
looking
is,
for I'm not too sure if
if
you're looking
anybody
for a
wants to
job.
apply, yes. Uh, yeah. Yeah, we're looking. What else can I say? I don't know. One thing that's interesting, like I've this is now my third coach introductory press conference that I've been to.
Mhm.
Oh, you lost me? I don't know if it matters.
You're here. You're still here. I got you.
Okay. And he mentioned Bobby Cremins as the previous two did, and I'm sure Brian Gregory did. I started covering tech just after that, but
Hmm.
um, I don't know. Like I love it because it's part of tech, and he'll always be an integral part of what tech is about. But it's interesting. Like I think I wonder how much that means. Like not like within tech, it means the world, obviously,
Yeah, of course.
but beyond tech, like it's tech. It's almost become like Georgetown, DePaul, Boston College. Schools that were really strong in the 80s and into the 90s, but have kind
Yeah.
of fallen off the map. And if you hear you know, like I grew up outside Chicago, so I'm familiar with DePaul. So like
Hmm.
if people were talking about, I remember, Mark Aguirre and Terry Cummings and all these
Right.
people that no one else really remembers, it's it doesn't resonate. And so like it's yeah, I think it's a good thing to talk about on the opening day. But yeah, with kids certainly, it I don't it's I don't know what that value has, unfortunately, anymore. And I guess that's probably been true a long time ago. But
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of a thought I've had.
Yeah. I would hope it still bears some importance, especially since Bobby's name is on the court,
Before it,
literally.
right?
Um, and he still makes his way. He was on campus for homecoming last year. Like he still makes his. He's not he's not a stranger to campus still, which is a
Yeah,
good thing. Like I mean, I got to meet him during homecoming last year, and he was I mean still engaged with a lot of folks, still engaged with his players and things like that. So yeah, it's good that he's cares about it's good to know that guys like that still care about the team and want and can be a resource like that like
yeah, yeah,
that's an ally for Scott should he ever need it kind of thing you hope he
yeah,
doesn't need to you hope that he gets to use them as a resource versus has to use them as a resource kind of
yeah,
thing and dip in
right.
those waters
Yeah,
in
yeah. It's to
between
his great credit. But I mean, it's funny he didn't leave Tech under the best circumstances.
yeah
But he's yeah. I like when I was covering Tech, I always saw him at games, and I got to know the coaches. I think he was always had their back, and yeah, he's one of a kind, and Tech is very fortunate that
yeah
he has continued to show the support that he has in just his unique way. Yeah,
yeah
he's someone that among the many people I've gotten to know through covering Tech, he's way up at the top as far as people I feel fortunate to have gotten to know a little bit.
yeah he's a special guy uh I think that's all I got. Thanks for sticking with me, Ken, and filling it as my emergency closer. Hopefully, we'll bring you in just a hold situation next
All
time, not
right. Okay.
something like that when we just need you to just keep a runner at first base.
I think I can
Don't
do
have the
that.
bases loaded. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
thanks a ton for hopping on. We'll I mean, I assume you'll write some more tech stuff as the time goes on here this year.
I think so. Yeah. Until we hire Chad's replacement, I think I'm gonna. I mean, I'm not gonna be like the full-time tech guy,
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah,
probably write more than I had previously. So yeah, always happy to come back to tech and write about the jackets.
sounds good. All right, well, we'll see you
Yeah.
soon.
Okay. Thanks, Jack.
All right, let's move on to baseball here. I'm going to be very quick and brief here because I'm now sitting alone and there's no one to rebound off of, but still some thoughts to go off here. So baseball had a interesting week. They went 2-2. They went to number 4 Auburn on Tuesday, lost 9-2. That game was the highest ranked, I think, two teams to have ever played at Auburn for a home game. So like that was a really big night for them. They get the win there. There's so many baseball games that happen that if losing to the number 4 team one time when we're the number 3 seed, it's almost the kind of like it's almost a neutral kind of thing. If we keep losing games like that, it'll eventually kind of cost us. But early season, not anything to be a massive worry about. Now past weekend was interesting because it was a 2-1 series win over Pitt. But oh god, did we look like the Georgia Tech of old, where we have all of the hitting and none of the pitching. We won 11-9 in game one. We were up 9-1 and Pitt just clawed back and clawed back and clawed back. It actually turned into a Mason Patel outing in the last two innings that held Pitt scoreless when it mattered most. So it was very good to see Patel back, getting some innings after he was hurt. He did not pitch it again the rest of the weekend, but I that was a good little warm up spot and also important innings that he was able to deal in. So that's a big thing going forward because we got some every game's important, but we got some we're gonna have 4 straight ranked opponents games in a row coming up soon, so we're gonna need them at some point. Saturday we lost 14-9. That game was absolutely weird as hell. There was runs basically almost every inning of that game, or half inning, I should say. Dylan Lloyd, I don't want to say finally had a bad outing, but it did come and bite him in this game after he had been very consistent for us these last few weeks. He only went 1 inning, allowed 5 earned runs. We had to burn Carson Ballard, Charlie Wilcox, Porter Bursema, Jamie Facens, Brett Barfield. Like we just rolled through the bullpen. It was not helpful at all. We scored in the first 6 innings of this game and lost, that's how you know it's a classic Tech game at that point. So not ideal there. Pitt does have some good hitters. Let me be clear; they have some dudes that can really hit. Like it's not like we absolutely crapped the bed in a sense we did, but Pitt is no slouch at all. They're 15-6 right now. We're 19-5. So they've been winning a lot of games as well. They're not ranked, but they've been winning a lot of games. Sunday we won 12-4 in 7 innings. There was a weather delay, and then it ran into the curfew that happened, and so that game ended early. But we were very much in control of that game. Jackson Blakely was fantastic. He was absolutely the star pitcher of the week, just because he didn't allow a crap ton of runs. That was pretty that, which I hate to say it that way, but that's where we're at. I mean, Tech allowed this week at least they allowed at least 9 runs in 3 straight games between Auburn and the first 2 Pitt games, and then only 4 against in the third game. So that was good to see. Moving on to a couple other players to note. Unfortunately, we're in Drew Burress slump watch. I think we could just say by his standards, he's in a slump. He's hitting just 276. He's got 27 hits, which is not near the top of this team at all. He's got the worst slugging of the main starters at 531. When he gets hits, he is getting big hits. Like he's still hitting homers. He's hitting doubles. But it's the getting on base consistently is not happening at the level that I think we know that he can do and that he has shown that he can do in the past as well. Just looking again, I mean, he's at 19 strikeouts, which is of the highest on the team right now. He has been hit 6 times, which is the most on the team. That's pretty good. And he's walked 21 times. Like he's finding his way on base. But it's his batted rate is just not working as well as we need it to right now. Um, and he's still hitting top of the lineup. So we'll see if that changes at all going forward. I mean, we've already seen James, we not James Taylor. That's a famous artist. James Ramsey be willing to shuffle the lineup as needed, depending on the situation. So I don't know. I don't think we'll see it this soon necessarily. They don't have a midweek game this week, so they got time to really work on things this week while it's spring break. But I'll be very curious to see how he molds, how he progresses out of the season because he's going to be important. Yes, we have hitters all up and down the lineup. I think I mentioned this as a worst case scenario in the season preview that if Burris somehow sucks, we've got enough guys to kind of compensate for that. And I would say that is still the case right now. Absolutely. Right now, Von Lackey is playing like a top 5 pick in the draft right now. Like, dude's absolutely monstering the ball. Alex Hernandez had a grand slam this week. Arson Curse is on track to absolutely demolish Jay Payton's doubles record for the team. He's on track for how many? He's on track for 36 doubles. The record's 27 for the team. So it would be awesome if he can hold on to that going forward. In terms of run scoring, I mean, I mentioned this was an all offense, no defense kind of week. That is, of course, still the case statistically. Whereas Tech is on pace to still break their season runs record through the first 24 games. They're at 12 runs a game right now, so that's awesome. And what we knew was a possibility of this team. I mean, at the end of the year, they will be of the most prolific offensive, is not the most prolific offense this team has ever seen in its history. So that's really fun to see. In terms of just the general ACC, I'm not going to run through the games and everything, but I wanted to give a standings update because we're at that point where we can kind of start putting together some standings things. Still lots of series. I mean, we have most of our ACC schedule still to go, so that's not like a all. This is not the not an all a. What am I trying to say? This isn't everything. But at the moment, we're fourth in the conference. We are at 6-3 in ACC games. Florida State's leading at 5-1, so they've just got smaller sample size. Our 6-3 mark is even with North Carolina, Virginia, Notre Dame, and Boston College. Most of these teams are in that six. Notre Dame's got the fewest wins of this group. They've only got 14. We've got 19. Virginia's got 20. North Carolina's got 20. So that's kind of where the main echelon of this conference is right now, is the teams in that 19 win range, and then you go down and you get to the 16s, and then you get down to Stanford and Cal, who are both under 14 wins, which is the fewest of in the conference. We play Cal pretty soon, and I want to mention this because we play NC State this weekend at home. Number 14 NC State, big games ahead of us. Really good RPI wins, very good net wins, all sorts of all the various things that help us in getting good NCAA tournament seeding. Wins this week go a really, really long way. A sweep, of course, would be best case scenario, but what really matters is a series win more than anything. Getting 2 out of 3 when it's all said and done. Going to pair, which has been our new favorite spot to get these analytics. Right now, we're 18th in net, 7th in ELO, number 22 RPI. Strength of schedule, of course, is crazy good because that's just what we've got. We're 4-3 in our Q1 games, which is very good. So we're still winning. We're winning those at a higher rate. Against NC State, we're favored by about a run in these games. We've got a 65% chance to win the series. So based on what we've seen, I trust that. NC State has a very good offense as well, though. That's what's worrying. They score 10 runs a game right now. Yes, we score 12. That's better. But their on base is very good. Our on base is still the best in the country. Batting average best in the country. There's the top 10, top 15, kind of all the important stats and things like that. Really good WAR. They are 1-2 against quad 1 teams so far, but they're killing it against everybody else. So all that to say, this will be very interesting to see how this goes down. There's more room for error in baseball than there is in most sports, just because they play a gazillion games, and that's just how it works. But if you want to be one of those if you want to be a team that's going to make Omaha, that you know it can confidently get there, these are the kind of tests you got to win. And so far, yes, we beat Clemson. Yes, we lost to Auburn. But if we can go I think if going 2-2 this week against NC State and Auburn looks a hell of a lot better than last week's 2-2, where the only wins came against Pittsburgh. And this team can do it. They can do it. The pitching, though, does seriously need to pick up the pace after this past weekend. This will. I know we do. This is part of the Georgia Tech experience, that the pitching doesn't always work all the time, and it's not great. But if we can get these guys just going to, especially Tate McKee on Friday, get a little bit more effective. He's been throwing a lot of balls lately. He's been having to rely on balls in play. Hasn't been striking out guys. I think there's something to be said there with his effectiveness that can really help us down the line in this series. Anyways, I said this all mentioned because with Cal, we're favored to basically destroy them, and so those are wins that we like really, really need to have. We'll get at least one. We'll probably win all three. But all that to say, if you can get 2 wins out of this NC State and Auburn stretch, that's going to look a hell of a lot better when you add in the Cal games, and we play Kennesaw State after that. 4 really, really winnable games in a row. And if we coming out of this above 500 is the bare minimum this team needs to do right now with the talent they have. That's just statement of fact. They need to be above 500 with how this goes for this next stretch of games over the next 2 weeks. That goes into April. So if you can go to the NC State games, they are at 7 o'clock on Friday and Saturday, 4 o'clock on Sunday. So very interesting, a weirder timing, not our usual late afternoon start on Friday or mid afternoon start on Saturday. So if you want to make a night of it, be a great time to go. We have a 65% chance to win the series, so I think we're in a good spot there when it's all said and done. All right, moving on to women's basketball very quickly. Their season ended last week. They played in the WBIT, the NCAA tournament, or the NCAA's invitational tournament that they have created. This is the second straight year we've actually played in it. We played in it last year after our record-setting many, many wins in a row backslid into the end of the season. Didn't make the NCAA tournament. Or no, we know we did. Oh shoot, I'm wrong. We played Richmond last year. Haha, ignore me. This is the second time in 3 years we played in the WBIT. We played Mississippi State 2 seasons ago, and then we played at Kansas State in this game. We actually held our own pretty well. Kansas State's only got a few more wins than us, but they were heavily favored to beat us, and we held in through the third quarter into the fourth. Like it was close, 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 but eventually they just pulled away. They kind of did what a lot of better teams have done against Tech women, and they've pulled away late or just found those streaks and just shoved us away. That said, as much as it was a predictable loss, even the commentators were noting it. We played so hard. We played so well, given our current given our current hand and the current thing, our current roster we're dealt with. So there was nothing that was like, oh no, this team's gonna suck next year. Like this was a very encouraging game to play a Big 12 team in their building in a do or die situation and really show up really well in that game. So all that to say, I cannot wait for next season to see what Coach Blair has in store for us. Like it's going to be a hell of a lot better than it was this year. And so far the how they play has been really fun to watch as well. So that'll be a good. If you just want AT, and also pro tip, if you're season ticket holder for football, like you get AT fun points and things like that, and you want a little bit of a leg up. Women's basketball season tickets are really cheap. Of course, you have to go to every game. You go to as many as you want, kind of thing. But if you just want like an easy way, that's like I think it's only like $100 or something like that. Like it's a easy way to kind of just scoot yourself up in line a little bit every couple of years or so, just to get a few more points in there. So word of advice there: you don't have to go to every game. Go to the ones you want to go to. Sell your tickets, whatever you want. But that's just the way to do it. Okay, softball. We're gonna finish here. They're now 17-17, even 500, 5-7 in the ACC, which is 10th. Sitting 46th in the overall like analytics rankings. They had a weird week. They lose to Georgia 5-1, where they were holding it late, and then Georgia gets enough runs late, beats them. Kind of a not an out crazy story. But they played Duke this weekend, who's number 20 in the country, and I mentioned this on our website. I wrote an article. It's like, hey, they're really close in a lot of these games against these good teams. They've shown they could punch up really well, and they've got the talent to do it. They just got to get some of these. And by God, they should have had 2 of these. Friday, they lose the series. They got swept, but they lost by a combined 5 runs, or no, combined 4 runs. They lost 14-13 in 8 innings in game 1, 6-5 in game 2, and then 4-2 in game 3. In the 14-13 game, they were leading in the 9th inning with Duke down to their last strike. Duke forces an extra innings and then just obliterates us in the 8th. We come back with a Grayson Tucker 3-run home run to pull within 1 in the 8th inning, and that's all we were able to manage. And then the next day, 6-5, Grayson Tucker again, about half a foot away from hitting a game-winning homer. Like was right there, just barely didn't get it. And then we strand runners at second and third and can't pull off the win. And then on Sunday was a more classic loss, not by a game of inches, but just really close. We had the hits, we had the base runners, just couldn't get them in. They're so close. They are so close to just breaking out with like really, really good wins. And they got teams on the schedule they can do it against, but like not getting them against Duke, it really is just heartbreaking because this was a really good time to get some seriously good-looking wins on the resume. Before there's a lot of teams we play that aren't ranked, and so they needed this. They didn't get it. It sucks. They got a lot of games this week as well, at home and at Kentucky, and so it just pains me that they were just so freaking close after they got a win over Virginia. They had a one run loss against Virginia and nearly could got 2 3 against Duke, and just weren't able to do it. I mean, if Jake was here, he'd probably be a little bit more pessimistic. I'm not gonna lie, but nonetheless, like, and they swept Notre Dame. Like, these gals have it in them to beat good teams and take care of good teams, um, but they're just half a step. They're playing a half a step short of getting those big moments. They can absolutely do it. They can totally do it. They're just it's just heartbreaking to see. Um, for the softball side of things, they play Louisville this, so they have two Georgia teams. They play West Georgia and Georgia State this weekend at home, and then they go to Louisville. Louisville is definitely favored to beat us in this series, but only by like a half a run a game. So like, this is going to be a close matchup. We should win at least one game in this series. Here we have about a 40% chance just to win a game head to head. So if you start to spread that over three, we got a 78% chance to win at least one. That's great. Probably not going to win all. We're probably going to lose this series. Not going to lie. When it's all said and done, we're still working with a very, very good strength of schedule, which is helping us in general ratings and things like that. The thing is we are 3-13 now against quad one teams, but we're doing pretty well against everybody else. Louisville similarly is 3-6 against quad one teams, and they're kind of beating up everybody else as well. So there is some evenness happening here that'll be good to see. Louisville's offense though is quite good. That's going to be the thing to check in on. Their average is sitting really well, and so our pitching's going to be really good. We're not really a strikeout pitching team right now. Madeline Johnson's eating a lot of innings, a lot of contact, and so we'll have to we're going to have to ride her to get 2 wins in this series if we're going to win this thing. So that's where we're at. We have a 35% chance to win that series, and that is that. Thank you all for listening. So it's a shorter one. Thank you again to Kent for coming on. It was a nice to get him in the pinch while we had some scheduling issues this week with our usual folks. We should have some more stuff on the website this coming week, and then we will have next week on Science. We will have baseball coverage. We'll have what happened with softball. We'll get more into the swim and dive. The swim and dive NCAA nationals are at Georgia Tech this week. I think they already started, and then the men are very soon as well. And so that's a big event happening on campus. We will cover what happened at track and field. Next week, golf I know has some action going on as well, and I know lacrosse is getting back into the fold very soon. You can listen to us, of course, wherever you get your podcast. You can find our writing at fromtherumble.com. Springtime, a little bit less writing than usual, but we're still here. If you got a question, anything, email us at fromtherumble.com. We're active on Twitter and Blue Sky at FTRS blog. I'm at Jack Nicholas. Find our stuff on Facebook as well. I post things there. These podcasts are also just on YouTube, just to stream there. No video, just the audio, so you can stream it there if you're a YouTube person. If you don't want to do whatever podcast app you're at, whatever floats your boat, it's all good. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. Go Jackets.